So we're still in the teams chapter, but now we're taking a look at how to become a better team member. And one big topic is improving your listening. Improve your listening. How can we do that? Let's take a look. First, we got to take a few steps back quick to chapter 2 when we talked about the interpersonal communication model. We also talked about the listening rate gap. Quick recap, what is a listening rate gap? It's basically because on average we can speak around 120 words per minute, but we can listen to around on average 400 words per minute. So there's a gap in between listening ability to way many more words per minute compared to speaking. And what is the difference? This is where our mind wanders around, the orange bubble you see on the screen. Our mind wanders around, goes all over the place, maybe thinks about random things from your private life, thinks about the weather, the football score, what do you want to eat tonight, whatever, you name it, okay? However, we have to make the effort to focus on the speaker and use the extra time that we have available to analyze, maybe paraphrase what we hear, and especially take relevant notes. Note taking for your college classes, note taking in your meetings. This is how you fill the gap while staying on topic and not drifting and wandering completely away from the topic. Okay? This is the part when we talked about active listening, paying full attention. We devote whole attention to others. We don't just act like we're listening. You have to imagine when somebody told you something. Can you paraphrase certain things? Do you remember key important dates, key important information? If not, you failed to take notes. Take notes or ask for feedback. It's a whole loop. You got to make sure there always is this shared meaning. Allow others time to express themselves completely. Involve everyone. All right. Try to understand speakers from their perspective, meaning maybe take a third person view of the situation or put yourself completely in their shoes and see where they come from. This is an ability. This is a skill you will maybe already have or learn, a lifelong skill of having this high EQ, high emotional intelligence. Obviously empathize and provide psychological safety with team members. All right. But the first step always involves devoting our whole attention to others and allowing them to basically create a comfort space and time to express themselves completely, not interrupting anybody. When others speak to you, you try to understand that everything they say comes from their perspective, not yours. So try to put yourself in those shoes. Maybe put yourself in a bird eye view, third person view, and see how you can see the whole situation, not just your first person view. So paying attention requires a lot of active skills. Some of them are also non-verbal. Your body language, think about it. Include appropriate eye contact. Show you're eager to understand the other person. If you lean forward, have an open body position, you sit up straight. Maybe there's a presentation and you nod, which means you're showing that you're listening. Smile when it's appropriate. Pay attention to the speaker's nonverbal behavior as well. We have to prevent incivility at work. Incivility could be anything that's said at the workplace. For data, for example, from 98 to 2016, the share of employees who report being treated rudely by colleagues at least once a month has risen by about 13% since then, according to this source, Christine Porav. Okay, so we gotta be aware and mindful, and don't let our body be hijacked by our emotions, because once you said something, it's out. Okay, because you might feel one way or the other. Feeling things is completely normal. Having an emotional reaction makes us human. The difference is, what do you say? How do you react? What kind of feedback, verbal, are you giving? Non-verbal. Okay. Emotional hijacking is when emotions control our behavior, causing us to react without thinking. That's why sometimes they say, oh, wait, there may be a night to write that email. Maybe tomorrow you'll see it different. Maybe don't send that email yet. Maybe make the phone call tomorrow when you're calm and more rational, more objective, more solution-oriented. Okay. This is also where the textbook talks about holding judgment. Okay. A judger mindset. Here's a bad example. Judger mindset. Get rid of this. Having your mind made up beforehand. Instead, what should you adopt? Learner mindset. Hear others' ideas. Listen with an open mind. Example, when you ask questions, you are all future graduates, future leaders, and you are maybe in a team in a difficult situation. Should you ask, who is responsible for this mess? How does this sound? Very accusatory. You're blaming, huh? It might not even be their fault. Maybe you should rephrase your question and ask, what can we do about this? You're focusing on the solution, not the problem. You're focusing, how can we move on? Okay? You're a leader. You want to focus on solutions. Why can't you get it right? You might think, why can't you get it right? However, maybe you should ask your team or that coworker, going forward, what can we learn from this to avoid the same mistakes? Completely solution-oriented. You might think of a previous coworker, previous teammate, some family member who only asks judger questions. Now you can quantify them more. You can maybe more categorize them and say, hey, this is better. Having a learner mindset and focusing on solutions instead of problems. One big thing is also I statements. When to use them. Kind of as a buffer when you want to disagree diplomatically. Also good use for difficult conversations. Teams or not, or with clients. Think about it. Why should we use them? It softens our comments, our tone. Sounds more conciliatory and flexible. Less blaming and accusatory. Let's look at a few examples. When to use I statements, what is it? Instead of saying you're always late, you could say, I think, I feel, I believe. You can start with those sentences, those starters, and you may be on the right track already. Maybe you can say something like, I feel stressed to stay on track when we start later than planned. Okay? You as future leaders, obviously, maybe, hopefully not, you have a repeat offender of someone who always comes late. Obviously, you have to have those difficult conversations. You have to put them to the side. One-on-one meetings, if it's a more appropriate setting for one-on-one meetings, like difficult conversation. But don't start with you and blaming statements. You can still say, I noticed that in the last 2-3 months, you came 8 times late to work. Usually it was on Mondays or Fridays. What's going on? How can we help you? Focus on the solution. Don't blame them right away. You don't know the other person, what they're going through. We're not having the same life experiences overall. So think about I statements. Be diplomatic. Focus on solution instead of wasting time talking about problems. This is basically a summary. Maybe take a screenshot. It's pretty good when you say, judger questions, who is to blame? Learner questions will be, what am I responsible for? What are we doing? Where are we going? How can I prove I'm right? Versus what are the actual facts and what am I assuming? And so on. Okay? Think about judger versus learner. And hopefully you are all learners.